let's start. I think we are 10, 12 minutes late, so we can start now. So we have, I hope you had a good stay, good night's sleep and everything, because we have a super packed morning session and afternoon session. So we'll start off with the agenda briefing. That will be done by Kazi Bhai. Then we'll go for multi-hazard risk analysis of climate-related disasters in Bangladesh, which will be done by Shofiul Bhai from Start Fund. Then we'll have another session on rational risk information initiatives by UNDRR, which will be an online and offline session by UNDP and UNDRR, and then we'll finish before lunch by the Inform Risk Matrix. So without further ado, let me invite Kazi Bhai. Kazi Bhai, can you explain the agenda today? And then we can go to the sessions. Let's try to keep the time, Kazi Bhai. We'll try to finish by.
Give some time to technology to fix up. So good morning, colleague. Yesterday we have a very good fruitful discussion at the whole session of the four pillar of the speed approach. So today we will explain a little bit on the each of the component more detail with the global reflection as well as the reflection from the development resilient project of the National Disaster Management Program basically. So in the agenda, let's go for the, okay, go to the next slide. In the agenda yesterday we did the overview of the Nexus strategy. The strategy have been based on the speed approach. We tell everybody and explain the how we will do something, the objectives of the workshops, promoting some of the plan of action in the end of the workshop that we will do develop together with the participant. Go to the next slide. So today we start with the first pillar of the Nexus strategy is the risk analysis. In humanitarian term we call it HNO, humanitarian need overview. So that is the basically the little bit differences from the global language, how HNO have been developed at the global level. But in our case, there is no protected crisis there. That's why the HNO is sometimes not tell us many things. That's why we are focusing on the risk analysis and focus geography and focus on the people. And then after this session, we'll end up with the informed index draft finding sharing with all of you to validate the findings. So this risk analysis session will be done by the Start Fund, in the book plus the National Resilience Program, and then the UNDRR will be say about their global platform as well as UNDP will say the national platform, and then we go to the lunch break and then come up with the risk communication that will focus on the impact based forecasting by the BDRCS. Go to the next slide. আপনি এটা দেন না তাহলে তো এত প্যারা লাগে না এটাই এটা দিই হয় না ওকে কে কে না না আরো আগে after lunch, we will talk about a little bit on the joint need analysis and GIA framework discussion. That framework have been give us the guide how we improve the HNO analysis and the analysis of the response. That will guide us. And then refreshment and continue the session, and then we will assign the homework. This homework for the cluster coordinator, and cluster coordinator will be basically some of the member they will include in that group and do some of the homework on the GRP indicator. There will be very new indicator they are proposing at the global level, 123 indicator. We will come up with a very clear indicator for the joint analysis. Go to the next slide. আগে যান, দুইটা গেছে। Then tomorrow morning we will come up with the presentation from the cluster coordinator of the 5 key GRP indicator in the each sector, and then we will start the session of the sectoral and multi-sectoral assistance package. That is the new way we try to improve something from the multi-purpose cash grant plus promoting the SPARE standard. We have our expert here, SPARE community in Bangladesh, who will explain a little bit on the SPARE, what SPARE said, and then we will share a concept note. We are working with the BIDS to comes out with a contextualized SPARE in Bangladesh basically. That concept will share and we will provide feedback. And then we will see something that on the gender responsive inclusion and protection at the centrality of the Nexus strategy, how we will promote that. That will come up with the GBV, JIHA and child protection will come up with that session. And then we talk up, yes, IAC Collective Accountability Initiative that will presented by the Global IAC Accountability Focal Point. He will be joined to online. He's supposed to be joining the physically, but due to visa issue, he is not able to join. But he will explain a little bit on the collective accountability system at the system level as well as the community level. So then lunch break. Then the institutional capacity section, we will talk about little bit area-based DMC coordination because of there is a many confusion on the area-based DMC coordination and a couple of conflicting arising with the speed model, all those things. We will say what is this, how we will apply it, that little bit exercise, another thing. Then we come up with the minimum preparedness section and advanced preparedness section that talk about little bit of the how we will better prepare with the minimum preparedness and advanced preparedness, what we have done in the Nexus strategy, how we will do that, update that, and how we will monitor that. That need to be focused. Then assign homework with the cluster coordinator and the members to review some of the joint CP template that has been given to the end of the Nexus strategy. We will review that template because of that template need to be updated based on the field experience. We did some of the exercise with the Start Fund and other partner so that we see something that clearly there is a improvement area with the considering the anticipatory reaction and other thing. So contingency plan will be improved in a way that could be have a one template could use one agency, join cluster, everybody can use the one template. So and then end of the day, cultural program, official dinner. What we'll do tomorrow, one announcement that tomorrow we will do the group photo at the tea break at the morning. So a couple of people will join today. That's why we postponed 2 days plan on the photo session. Tomorrow we will do the photo session at the morning. So be prepared for the photo session tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow there is a special barbecue dinner party, not here, outside the restaurant at the dais there, and we're a little bit the cultural program that we are expecting from the participants. Some of will come and sing song and other thing, but we are not arranging something very big, but we invited some of the people to sing a song for us basically. Atwar bhai, some of the new people is here, So this is the agenda in the folder. We give you only agenda and couple of document we will keep. So done. So 2-3 new faces in the room. So please introduce yourself in the room. মানে সবাই শুনছেন ভাইরা?
Okay. আবার বলবো? Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. This is Atul Rahman. I am the Humanitarian Program Lead, Oxfam in Bangladesh. I am representing the cash working group in Bangladesh here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone new?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. This is H.M. Shahid Hassan. I work for Need Assessment Working Group and under the flagship of Care Bangladesh. And today is my first day. I wasn't join yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Assalamu alaikum. This is Murshid Bilal Khan. I'm working with UNICEF Bangladesh and working as Child Protection Cluster Coordinator. Thank you.
Sorry, I missed one half day of the agenda because of the last day of the agenda is talk about little bit on the response analysis and planning, how we develop the HRP, how we can improve that, and then we discuss a little bit on the sharing findings of the gap analysis and resource mobilization effort, and here is the donor will join and talk a little bit on that. So they will join. We said you can join up to, from the 9:30, but the 12th could be your discussion. You could give the speech for us, especially the USAID, FCDO, and the ECO. So they will talk a little bit on here. So then in the last session we finalized the SCTT plan of action 2022 to 2025, and that we will little bit discussion on the how our action will be reflected in the plan of action. Basically, each of the coordination forum action will be compiled based on the commitment we made based on the discussion today and tomorrow. This is the then wrap-up session. We are inviting our CAI and our strategic planner to come here and give the speech. Let's see who can come and give the speech of the end of the day. That's it.
Thank you, Kazi bhai. We have 5 minutes. I don't think we need any clarification regarding the agenda, but if you have any questions, anyone can ask. Or if not, we can go to the next session. And those who have not yet given their numbers to Zafar bhai, please send your numbers, WhatsApp numbers, to Zafar bhai. You will be added in the intercluster working group, this meeting's WhatsApp group, and you'll get all the informations, communications, notes, and everything in that group. Good. Okay. So we're on time, Kazi bhai. 5 minutes ahead of time. Brilliant. So let's start the second session, which is multi-stakeholder, multi-hazard risk analysis of climate-related disasters in Bangladesh. So may I invite Shofiul bhai, Shofiul Azam, Program Coordinator, Start Fund, to do the presentation, and also Kazi bhai, you may probably support. So yeah, thanks. One quick ground rule for everyone: if you have any question, please raise your hand, and we'll try to finish the session within time. You have the session plan with you. It's just a half an hour session, so let's try to keep our questions very, very specific and everything. Thank you.
Jafar bhai?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম, আমার নাম শফিউল আলম, নট শফিউল আজম। আমি স্টার্ট ফান্ড বাংলাদেশে কাজ করি। সো জাফর ভাই যাওয়ার আগ পর্যন্ত আমি একটু কথা বলি। সো টুডে ফ্রম দ্য স্টার্ট ফান্ড বাংলাদেশ উইল বি টকিং অ্যাবাউট multi-hazard risk analysis of climate-related disaster in Bangladesh. This study was done for the development of disaster risk financing building block of Start Fund Bangladesh with the support from UNRC office as well as Nirapod as a technical our partner. So Start Network and Start Fund Bangladesh are, as I said, they're developing disaster risk financing building block. It's a part of Start Ready program. Alongside the multi-hazard risk analysis, there have been other documents such as financial flow analysis and also household economic analysis. I think you may have part of that discussion. And that actually built off the Start Network Bangladesh disaster risk financing initiative. As part of the study development, humanitarian structure as cluster, working group, assembly member, national and local NGO were engaged at different levels through the meeting and discussions. So in this meeting room, আমি দেখছি যে স্টার্ট নেটওয়ার্ক অনেক মেম্বার আছে এখানে, সিআরএস এর কামাল ভাই আছে, তপন দা আছে, একটু হাত তুলবেন প্লিজ। সো আমাদের স্টার্ট নেটওয়ার্কের অল দ্য মেম্বার্স, নাসির ভাই, সো অল ক্রেডিট গোস টু ইউ। এই রিপোর্টটার জন্য ওনারা অনেক কাজ করেছে, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ ফর দিস। নেক্সট। So this report, as I said, the part of our risk financing strategy, I think Kajibhai will talk about bit maybe later. So Nirapod supported us in this report where they actually analyzed disaster risks and impact data from 2014 to 2020 to project and forecast the risks for the future, focusing on the next 5 years. So you will also find this book. So if I refer the book, so page number from 16 to 23, যদি এটা দেখতে কষ্ট হয়, 23 to 16 থেকে 23 পেজ, 16 to 23, you can have a look, some statistics there. And as I said, they have also did analysis of flood and cyclone data of 120 years for this report. However, there was a series of workshops of Start Fund Bangladesh members. There were 4 priority hazards identified for this initiative. This report focused on 4 disasters, which are flood, cyclone, landslide, and riverbank erosion. Next slide. Very interesting slide. সব নাম্বারগুলো বুকে দেওয়া আছে, তারপর এখানে প্রেজেন্ট হয়েছে, হয়তো দেখতে যদি কষ্ট হয়। From the analysis, it was found that about 42 million people have been affected by major disaster from 2014 to 2022. Almost 58 districts out of 64 has been impacted by some types of climate disaster in these years. This impact has caused $4,000 million economic loss for our country. More than 9 million people has been displaced and 1,000 people killed due to disaster that are climate related. Next slide. So we know the equation of risk equal to hazard into exposure and vulnerability. These 3 dimensions of risk has been researched and analysis this report. The risk index has been developed considering the following indicator for such area of analysis as seen in the slide, and also you can find the report as well. Total 24 indicators has been analyzed to identify the risks and rank them according to 5 classes: very high, high, medium, low, and very low. Next slide. So in here we can see the maps that show the different data analysis. The left side, the first 4 maps are the 4 hazards that were selected for Start Fund Bangladesh Disaster Risk Financing Building Block. We can see the exposure and vulnerability maps that shows them according to their indicators and analysis seen in the previous slide. most risk-prone areas of the country for the disaster. Next slide. A very interesting slide. So, forecasted people in need. So, in the analysis, one of the findings were forecasted people in need. It shows the amount of people that are anticipated to be at risk of different climate-related disaster over the next years. From 2021 to 2025, more than 18 million people will be exposed by climate-related disaster. For every year, 1,000 exposed people to disaster, 660 people will be affected by them. And annually, more than 338 million USD economic loss will be faced due to this disaster in Bangladesh. I think a very interesting slide, and again I must refer that the book you will find here. So next slide. So in this study, to do the hazard-based priority ranking, the GIAF framework used. I think Sajid Bhai will talk about the GIAF framework maybe later, so we'll talk about more on that session. Here you can see that the living standard, coping mechanism, and the physical and mental well-being of the people were considered and ranked into 4 classes for each district and the major disaster in the Bangladesh. Through this, it showcased the priority needs of the people affected by the different hazard risks. The next slide. So, district-wise people each severity phase. I think you see that we'll consider for this flood, then the living standard, coping mechanism, physical and mental well-being, and all the indicator and numbering here. The next slide. So that's the slide particularly I talk about the hazard-based severity ranking. Here we can see the projected amount of household that will be impacted at different level due to the disasters, such as for the cyclone and storm surge, we estimated that in 17 districts, 104,000 plus household will be minimally impacted, 145,000 plus household will be stressed, 180,000 plus household will be severely impacted, and 152,000 household will be extremely impacted. This same identification has been also done for the flood and riverbank erosion, flash flood landslide in Bangladesh. For the flood and riverbank erosion, total 20 million plus household is projected to be impacted. For the flash flood, total 300 and plus household is projected to be impacted. For landslide, total 93,000 plus household is projected to be impacted. Next slide. So I think if you see that report, you will find all the district here, like for the annual projected household in needs by floods, we rank 20 district here. If you see that first one is the Kurigram, Jamalpur, Gaibandh, Ashiat, and Sunamganj. Okay, and based on that, we projected the total need of household and the right column. So I think যদি বইটাই দেখেন, বইটা একটু clear আছে, এখানে হয়তো বোঝা যাচ্ছে না। So go to the next slide. So district-wise annual projected household in need by cyclone and storm surge here. So we rank. So first is the Khulna, then Coxbazar, Chattogram, and Barguna, and the right side is the total projected impacted household number. Go to the next slide. Also landslide. First one is the Coxbazar, then Chattogram, Bandarban, and Rangamati, and projected impacted household in the last part. So thank you so much. If you মানে কোনো প্রশ্ন clarification query, please raise your hand, or maybe আমাকে যদি তালি দেন আমি চলে আসতে পারি, যেটা ইচ্ছা।
So you probably have received a link at the WhatsApp group and also through email. So if you want to fill up that questions, either form, that'll be great. And also if you have any questions, you can raise your hands. It was a very quick presentation. We have a lot of time, unexpected.
So let me clarify a little bit on the, normally that I say the humanitarian communities do the HNO. humanitarian need overview at the global level. So in Bangladesh, how we will do the need overview when we don't have any protected crisis. That time we try to have a risk analysis and come up with the projected population in the different severity class. And we see very clearly in the flood, the extreme class of people need a humanitarian assistance. So they are the P. So people in need. So that is the big foundation of the whole Nexus strategy, that how much people we have to address minimum from the each year in the flood, cyclone, landslide. So, but these analysis can be improved because of that analysis uses the whole risk analysis is the 24 indicator, and then we for PIN analysis we use the 3 dimension of the GIA framework and 9 indicator. So that that global proposed the 123 indicator for that. So if we have each of the cluster have a 5 indicator, then you see the 11 cluster might have the 5 into 11. So that need to be little bit improved, and that could be aid in the need assessment process. Basically, the normal time you are monitoring something each of the cluster, and when there is something happen, then come up with something which indicator is deteriorating and which class you are ranking with a particular geographic area, then come up with the intersectoral discussion of that. So that we will discuss the GIA framework more detail on that, but this is the foundation of this book. But what is our intention is to that this analysis done on the district base, not to the Upazila and union base. So that's why we are coming up with the proposal with the support from UNDRR that the one global risk index have been contextualizing in Bangladesh. So that we will explain a little bit on that. Before that, if you have any question on the analysis process, that could be a little bit on, now we can discuss. We have the time.
Yeah, so we have 20 minutes.
Menti is going on, then if we have any questions, then we will clarify.
Any questions, comments? Yes, Naima first.
Thanks, Shofil Bhai. It was a really brilliant work. Thanks to all the people who were involved with this. I am a bit curious to know that is there any ranking you have done for the district those are affected by the pre-monsoon flood? I have seen here the monsoon flood ranking is there, but did you done any analysis on the monsoon flood affected district to the priority things? Pre-monsoon flood, sorry, pre-monsoon flood, flash flood.
I didn't get the question basically.
I have seen the district, it was mentioned that monsoon flood affected district, those have been ranked. But is there any analysis done for the district, those are affected by the pre-monsoon flood, that means the flash flood?
Oh, flash flood.
Yeah.
Yes, that when we talk about the monsoon, that covered everything. So that flash flood is there because of the monsoon season, that you could face the riverine flood, you could face the flash flood in the riverine area, also the Sylhet region basically, northern and northwestern region. So that we analyze everything in there based on that what available data we have basically. There is you will see some of the contribution in the flood exposure map. Most of the exposure area is the Sylhet, Sunamganj, because most of the Haur area. There is something giving us some of the overall ranking is a more bias to the flooding. We will discuss in the inform index that the bias of that, but these analysis is covering of the all over Bangladesh, but district level, not to the Upazila level.
Yes.
So
I mean, that means the whole flood season, I mean, it will be start from March to
Yes.
October maybe.
yes,
Because there was a abnormal rainfall possibility before July. For this portion of period, I was a bit curious to know that is there any separate kind of analysis have been done for that?
so what you were saying that the indicator of the rainfall this risk analysis not consider the rainfall. But when we talk about the hazard, then we talk about the impact of the last 10 years, from 14 to 7 years basically. As that impact have been, we try to triangulate that 7 years impact is correlate with the 100 years disaster impact basically. We see that correlate, but we are not particularly analyzing the climate change driver like the rainfall and other things. It's not we are considering that, because of then we have to do the modeling. That modeling we are not doing. We are doing the risk analysis based on our previous experience and based on the exposure map. So exposure map is a one way to improve with the driver basically. But the available map of the driver with the driver of the climate change driver, that's not very clearly available in Bangladesh. Some of the agriculture sector available, the BART did that. We try to calculate. If you look at the indicator, 24 indicator district level, you will see that try to collect as much as possible. But now we are doing something on the we will around have 60 indicator to come up with the map. But this map will don't tell you the frequency, intensity of the rain and other thing. It will say something very clearly, that geographical prioritization of the based on the experience and based on the exposure map you have available.
Yes, I got it. I mean, that means that it is the whole flood season. Yeah. Because in agriculture statistical yearbook, they have the loss and damage category for pre-monsoon and monsoon. That's why I was a bit curious that is there any separate analysis, then it would be helpful for us.
Yes,
also.
yes. That analysis is basically not to the guide you to the basically we see something that the humanitarian is basically investing something each year, and the risk financing and PIN analysis is most important here. That if you have plan now, that you have to plan that at a particular district how much people will be impacted each year in the not the long term but also immediate term, like of the next 5 years. So we consider the population growth, we consider the exposure map, and then consider the impact of the last 7 years, and come up with a proposition with the 95% confidence that these people will be impacted. So that's why we are doing. We see something that there is a clear improvement, but as a humanitarian, we supposed to not do that risk analysis basically. That's supposed to be available by the development sector. But the unfortunate is that the Bangladesh, you will not find the risk map. Though we are saying frequently tell the risk map, that is the basically exposure map. All the map, flood map, cyclone map, earthquake map is a basically exposure map, not the risk map. So we need to be what is our call to the development people who have the running the DRR program, that please come up with the more and more risk map. For flood risk map, heat index, cold index, all those things could help us to making the decision making process. Otherwise, we will say many things in the risk informed investment, but actually we will invest it based on the poverty map. So that's the call from our discussion.
Thank you, Shweta. I'm curious about the household figures you have considered. Is it only a statistical distribution like or estimation, or a kind of geographical distribution has also been included? Like the exposure in a district, exposure is not like equally distributed. So according to the natural characteristics, so disaster would be somewhere more, somewhere less, the impact. So did you consider like this, or the population is as a whole, you took the number of population and you considered like a percentage of population could be affected? So this is one calculation, only the percentage, how many could be affected. The other one is plotting the households, and this may be affected, this may be not. So how much extent it was?
That is very important question. Very importantly, we try to discuss all those things, that whether we have the household information. who are the affected in the flood in the last 10 years. Normally we don't have. We have the information up to district level from the NDRCC data that how much impacted in the each district. So, and we do the JNA based on the government data and come up with every year we come up with a proposal how many people are affected, how many will support, all those things. But that you raise very important point that the risk analysis need to be more detail up. Now we do the district based, we need to be analyzed the Upazila based, then we need to be union based, then we need to be ward based. So then we need to be household based analysis. But we cannot go straight away to the household based analysis because of the household information and location is not present in Bangladesh. We don't know who are the living in the risk prone area basically. So but what we did basically, there is a couple of sharing of the study. These risk analysis is guide us, our work, that how much PID we will consider and how many people will be targeted. This is the very crude analysis, but the global people showed on the GIA framework how we could improve those analyses basically, very clearly. And the global people shows that how we can develop more index, the prioritization of the geographical location. So risk analysis give us idea of the prioritization of geographical area on the multi-hazard, prioritization of the people, and then calculation of the PIN. And then we targeted that something. So, yes.
Thank you. Just to check also on the government prioritization, because government has also endorsed the Nexus strategy and our prioritization. How much are they relying on this analysis? Because their response will be much larger. Because ours is only like 10% rate of all. How do we coordinate this particular 10%, if you can clarify also?
Thank you. That is the very important point that these risk analysis should be guided the government investment. So that's why we see something that we need more detailing when we analyze the risk at the district level. That government say, can we do it at the union level? Then we see something that do you have the disaster impact data at the union level for last 10 years? So they said no. So then we very clearly say that these analyses guide the next step of the ladder. So these district-based analysis will guide us on the inform index at the Upazila level. Because these analyses have been using the inform methodology, not inform index, but they use the inform methodology. Then government agreed on the inform, in the inform will be part of that next 5-year offer from the humanitarian community. So now they are leading the technical working group. We will share that and come up with the findings, and there is a preliminary discussion which indicator we will consider, and there is a very, very interesting discussion coming with that discussion that the data, when we putting the data into the map, sometimes is totally misleading and what we perceived, but the totally different result. That sometimes they are putting us in the challenges, then we say that your data you are challenging. So that is very interesting discussion with the 13 ministries we are doing with that the inform could be at least minimum of the MODMR investment priority setting. Based on the inform, based on the impact-based forecasting working by the IFRC and BDRCS, that could be a very good way. Because of that is our learning in 2020, we have evacuated from the 16 districts. So why we are evacuated? Because of the all the people are cyclone risk prone, 18 districts among the 16. But forecast-based financing action, forecast-based impact, say you have to be evacuated from the 3 districts. So that's why we say something that how to improve the resource mobilization, investment efficiency in the government basically. So that's why this dialogue, when we are discussing with the government, then our cluster coordinator will discussing with the government, that need to be a common language. That common language coming up from there, because of when we try to do something, then the people want the maximum perfection in Bangladesh. But when you say that what you have now, so last 20 years, 50 years after the Bangladesh independence, we are using the poverty map. This is the only accepted map we are using for the whole investment, development, safety net and other. But when we try to do something in form, they said we don't have the data, we need this data, that could be not happen. That needs to more perfect. We say that whatever we have, this is the opportunities we can update regularly, but at least something you have to know that which data is basically have a problem basically, that you will alter or you will remove from the index. That we will discuss basically, but the very clear message to the government and humanitarian community and development community that you should do something with the SDG tracker and other thing, that where you are getting data, that is a big question we say. Where you are getting the real-time data, or you are getting the 10 years back data. With the pandemic, you are now using the something. But there is the opportunities, you have the correction factor, BBSM saying how you will correct the data with the population growth and other, that we will be. But we see that the data-centric decision-making process need to be improved, whether it is humanitarian or development. That need to be improved at the government level, so that with the data-centric decision-making, we can improve our resource efficiency. So that is the discussion we have with the government, and government is basically very glad to have that all those support from us. And there is a couple of work done by the different partner, BDRCS, NRP, UNDP and other things. We will listen to them that what their plan, and we will listen from the global people what is their plan basically to improve something, because how they are making a decision from there, because of the how they allocate the resources. If you see the humanitarian resources diverted with the new crisis from the Cox's Bazar to the Ukraine to the different Afghanistan, all those things. So that need to be understand little bit, that how Majid Bhai will explain little bit how they analyze all those development system basically. Over to you.
Do we do it now or we do it later probably? Okay. Jafar Bhai, since we have some time and not many questions, 5 minutes, we'd like to finish the Mentimeter exercise, because you've answered one question. There were 4 more questions, Jafar Bhai, if you can go through and update this. Yep. Question? Okay, you can change the question and we can take a question. Change. No, you're not.
Just one quick question regarding the table that is presented in the page 19 and 20. In the page 19 and 20, when we classified the severity in very high, right? But the color coding has an issue, I think. The color coding, if you see on page 20, Maulibajar, Sherpur, Kishoreganj, Manikganj are high, but they are colored as very high. So that's one thing. And another thing is I was searching, because we all know about these 15 districts, right? 6 and 3. But I don't know whether I missed it, but I didn't find in this document it's mentioned this specific these districts. We know it's from the 6 and 3, but I didn't find it. I mean, if it's there, it would be helpful for, like, we are exercising or we are working on it, fine. But when we will go and communicate with the government, if it was written or any other document, if you like in the follow-up, like we are talking about the action plan of actions, if we can specify there, that would help us.
But Ronnie bhai, need to be understand bit on that, because we have discussed it several times on that issues. Because of in the flood, we got the 20 districts who have the very high to high risk prone. But what experience is, when we go to the response, then we prioritize in the 6 or 7. So now we cannot say which union will go, which union not go, but we see that among the 20, when we will prepare for the 20, but all over the Bangladesh for the flood, But when we do our own response, complementing to the government, then we prioritize the basically 6 districts.
Then it became an issue, a big issue.
Yes.
Because if you see the number of districts, that is working or communicating with our partners is about 15 districts.
জাফর ভাই
So
ইমেল
we are
অ্যাড্রেস আছে
focused
না আমার
on whatever work we are doing on crisis and preparedness is more focused on 15 districts. So if it is like we have to get ready for all these 22 districts,
Yes.
and then out of these 22 districts, any 6 can be triggered, then it's a big issue because that resource or we should be communicating in that way. I think that my understanding was this, 15 districts is 6 and 3, and from the list, the top 5, 6. I don't know what the other cluster coordinators.
No, that need to be understand from the, if you look, what is your experience on the monsoon flood, 2020? So that among them, government say that 30 districts have been impacted on the flood basically, 13 districts, 30 districts. So that among them, how we do the need assessment and choose from the food security plan. How many districts 2020? You should talk with me basically. So in 2020, what is your experience on that? Government impact have been coming up or the 30 district? In the 2020, you did not respond. You did not plan for the flood. 2020, how many districts you plan for? But when we're talking about that, you are supporting technical level at the government level preparedness support, not to the community level, because you are the technical. You are not responding. You are supporting to the technical support to the government. Then means that you are improving the whole flood preparedness or whole cyclone preparedness. But when we are responding for mobilizing resource, we have to be prioritize that geographical area, prioritize people. That is from the need assessment. Then we mobilize resources where they are in need complementarity. But this does not mean you will not prepare all over the Bangladesh for flood. You are that time you are thinking systematically, not to the your response. You are the cluster because of the you are co-leading, because of the you are providing technical support to the government on the flood preparedness and response efficiency improvement. So that for the calculation of costing, you see that if you talk of the 50 district and all those people in CBAT class, how much money we will, what is your experience on that? In Bangladesh context, you could mobilize on that 20 district and say in our contingency plan 20 district will be there, and we will mobilize if how much money will be can be mobilized. What is your experience on the flood and other thing? And how the global financing system with that a country where there is enormous capacity you can mobilize. That's why we among the risk calculation we say something that for our contingency plan where we will complement the response, then little bit lower down for budgeting purpose. But that we are not fixing up that district, that which district we will go. That based on the prioritization of the among the 20 districts basically.
So basically, the discussion here is exercise or analysis that we are doing here is like we have already prioritized or severity ranking is there, right?
Yes.
And the agreement or so far our understanding was as cluster we cannot target the whole Bangladesh, or as humanitarian community or the
Ronnie bhai, you are in a wrong place because of you are the cluster coordinator. You will target you are co-leading with the government. Government is leading that. So
Yes.
you need to support to the technical. You will not target anything. Partner will target.
yes, so cluster target is as discussed that cluster will target 6 flood prone districts out of this 21,
No.
and
For
that's why
that
we need
contingency
this
plan, because of our experiences, we cannot target to the more than 6 or 7.
yes,
Any of the response last 10 years.
right. That's why we did this exercise early. So which 6 district, in case of a major flood, which 6 district we will be as cluster we will be planning for the response. Government, the whole all districts will be targeted.
But when there is a scenario will be unfold, this is the risk, that's based on the probability. But if the some district among the 20 districts is the most affected, then you will not go for that.
No.
So, Rodi bhai, we could discuss the parking lot little bit on that.
Even Kaji bhai, even we cannot target even the severely districts. Say for example in 2019 we cannot target Tangai, though it is a 4 or 5 categories. Because of due to lack of local actors, we cannot target. So it's not our mandate to target every districts. Based on our resources, based on vulnerability and severity, we'll target to complement with the government.
That is the basically, but the systematically we support to the government technical capacity and other thing, so that government have been responding to the any of the places improve. That's why we are supporting the government. But okay, okay.
Yeah, sure. Let's keep this question and go on with the schedule because we have crossed 10 a.m. We go to the next session and do the Mentimeter letter. But very good discussion, engaging discussion. Ronnie bhai, thank you for bringing this up. I think many people have the same question, so we'll definitely answer this, and Kazi bhai will definitely clarify this. So let's stop it here because we'll have to keep the time. So this one we're going to the session 3 now. Jahidul bhai, Mohammad Jahidul from planning specialist, UNDP. So this is an online and offline session. So first Jahid bhai will start off with the National Risk Information Initiatives by UNDRR Global, and UNDP will have a break in the midst, and then our colleague Andrew will join online to do the rest after the break. So Jahid bhai, over to you. Thank you.
Important engagement in Dhaka. So I'm presenting this, actually saying few words on DI and DRIP. I'll explain it later. And DRIP on behalf of Bangladesh Planning Commission. Next slide. Jafar, next slide. Next slide. There, as you know, the NRP, particularly National Resilience Program, implementing by 4 government agencies. We are one. I'm working for Bangladesh Planning Commission, which is implementing by the Programming Division of Bangladesh Planning Commission. So NRP by PD part, or the Programming Division part, is working on risk from public investment, actually integrating disaster and climate risk into investment projects, development planning process, both public sector and the private sector. For the public sector, we are actually developing some tools and mechanisms to support the macro level development planning frameworks. These are one is the Accenture Disaster Impact Assessment Tool and Guideline, and to support that guideline, we developed the Disaster and Climate Risk Information Platform, DRIP, and also some disaster resilience indicator, which you'll find in the 8th 5-year plan. There are 4 disaster risk indicators we contributed, that one already included in the 8th 5-year plan result frameworks. For the public sector, private sector resilience, we were working with BGMEA,